What? Just me?
What's going on?
Yeah.
Engineer.
Yeah, man, gotta do it all. Gotta do it all.
That. Here we go. Y'all good. I like my G-Funk intro. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing out there? Hey, everybody. TGIT. That's right, TGIT. Thank God it's Tuesday. But you know what? Before I can really get into it, let me put that G-Funk back on because I'm not really in the mood to talk right now. I'm kind of bobbing my head right now. I got 3 brothers in studio. I'm going to introduce them in a minute, but let me get my groove on for a second. I'll get right back to y'all. I just really want to hear this beat, so I don't really want to just start talking right away, y'all. Now I'm just acting fool. All right, hey everybody out there on Facebook Live, you all can give us a call here at 713-526-8737. That's 713-526-8737 or 713-JAMTRES. All right, let me get rid of the G-Funk intro for now. All right, I'm back. Now I'm being serious, everybody. Hey everybody, TGIT, that's right, TGIT. Thank God it's Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, January the 31st, 2017. That's right. That means that this month of January is gone. So, like I want to start off by saying, if you made your New Year's resolution, you probably have already broken it by now because it is the end of the month. The bright side to the end of the month is, there's absolutely no bright side to the end of the month because tomorrow rent is due. Rent is due February the 1st, and if you're lucky, you get that 5-day grace period. You got until February the 3rd to pay it. So keep doing what you do. Just be thankful you have a job. You know, be thankful if you like your job. I don't really like my job, and I know they're not listening right now. But what we want to talk about today is this is show number 1002. I'm your host, Christopher Leger. This show comes to you every Tuesday. That's right, every Tuesday here on 90.1 FM KPFT HD3. Yeah, that's right, HD3. I'm still over here in the little closet in the radio station. You know, one day I'm going to go and play in the big boy studio. They actually asked me to go over there and host a show in the big boy studio, but I told them no because I feel like I'm a lot freer. I can say what I want to say. I can be me. I can keep it real over here on HD3. And if y'all out there believe that, you know, I'm a better actor than I thought, you know what I mean? I don't want to go to the main studio with millions of people listening to me, but we got millions of people listening to this show here worldwide. You can go to show1002.com. You can actually go to my website, which is show1002.com. You can go to Facebook, just type in Christopher Legier, and when you type in Christopher Legier, go to the third guy down. That's the black guy. That's me. The white guy in the front, that's a guy from Louisiana. I know in some way, shape, or form we are related, but I don't know how well. But the third guy down, that's me, Christopher Leger. You might run into my cousin Joshua. That's not me. I'm not responsible for whatever he posts on his page. That's not me. So remember, that's not me. But just look for Christopher Legier. Y'all can follow me on Twitter. Just go to Chris Show 1002. My Instagram game is doo-doo, so you can go to Instagram all you want. I don't really post anything on Instagram because I don't do a lot of selfies. You know, I just figured the only person I need to make happy is the mirror. And, I'm not sharing it with the world. But you can go to Instagram. My Instagram is the same. That's CLeger at Chris Show 1002, which is probably jacked up. But you go on Instagram, just type in Chris Leger, Legier. That's the beauty of my name. It's unique. it's unheard of, but then you can't hide from anybody. That's the only problem. So only reason why I'm not a real criminal is because I'm too easy to find by my last name. So if I change my last name to Jones or Thompson or Smith, y'all, I'm going into crime. Just remember that. But let me get to the show. This is show number 1002. Remember to stay tuned at 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, it's the Above Ground Revolution with Cobb Alexander and Lady B. They're going to come in, host the show where they feature local artists, talk about local topics, do the arguing and everything. We got another brother in the studio. You know, it's like we got our fifth member in there, so it's five of us now. So we're going to get into what we do. And I'm going to set the studio up right. Okay, so today's topic I want to talk about is economic prosperity within our black community or African American community or whatever you want to be identified now as. I'm not really sure if we want to be identified as African Americans right now in this day and age. You know, we got a new president, so I think they might drop the American part on us and just keep us straight up, you know, African. But hey, I'll stay African any day. So
all day.
So that's the deal. So in the studio with me, I got a couple of brothers. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves, and I'm gonna actually set the studio up right so we can all get on here and talk about this. So, brothers, you know, it's actually the Melanated Men of Action, the MMOA, a group that I'm a member of, a group that I'm proud of, and you know, I'm not talking to the brothers in here right now. Let me talk to y'all. I need to do more for the group. You know how when people join a group and they get, you know, they kind of end up doing a whole bunch of the stuff. But in 2017, I need to be focused more on the MMOA, which is very positive black organization, a bunch of young black men doing positive things for the community. It's going to be a group to look out for, but their main focus and their main goal right now is taking care of. We got to look out for ourselves as a black community. Just a little filler right here. The way I came about this topic was because I was actually talking to some old school people. I hate to call them old school, but y'all old school. I'm bordering on being old school myself. But what we were talking about is why is it that the black community is not really doing well? Because what they told me was that back in the day when all we had to rely upon was ourselves. Because I'm not an advocate for segregation. Listen, I'm not advocating any form of segregation, but when we were segregated, we had to rely upon ourselves. So we kept the dollars flowing within our community. You know, when they told us, okay, you can't stay at this hotel. So when you wanted to go out of town, you had to team up and partner with others who would give you a place to stay. But what is keeping us back, they told me what is really keeping us back from being united is that our mentality has been that because we think that we're free and we think that we have become integrated, we stopped looking towards each other first to solve our problems and started looking towards others. And so with that being said, I want to let you all get in on this and tell me, economic prosperity in our community, what are some of the things we can do? What are your thoughts? And how can we get this ball rolling? And also, if you all want to call in, the number to call is 713-526-8737. That's 713-526-8737. You can also go live on Facebook. Just type in Christopher Leger. Just get the live feed of this show. But this topic is near and dear to me because the reason why I'm saying this is because, you know, I deal with a lot of people from different communities. And people always ask me, say, why does it seem like foreigners can just come over here and just get a leg up? What is it? Is the government giving them things? Are they giving them subsidies? And I always say, no, they're not. I said, what they do is they look within each other, you know, and it could start with your own family, you know. So I'm going to let y'all take it from here.
Oh, man. Peace and blessings, family. Brother Atum Ra, host of Melanated and Illuminated, PR representative for Melanated Men of Action and the Blacklist. Yeah, man, this is a pretty important topic, you know, at this time, you know, whenever you talk about as our understanding of the game grows, you know, our understanding of how the system operates, you know, has to evolve with it. You had mentioned segregation. You know, of course, I don't think anybody really advocates for segregation, but what we must understand is there's a difference between separation and segregation. And so, you know, none of us advocate segregation because segregation is devised, you know, by the people in power against those that don't have power versus separation, you know, that's something that's voluntary. And so, that's the reason why brothers like ourselves have put together different initiatives, whether it's Buy Black initiatives, whether it's our bum rushes supporting them, and also just political education and economic education for the people. But Chris all everywhere on that, man.
Oh yeah, I'm doing. Hey, I'm setting up the studio. So
yeah, in relation to the foreigners, and why we don't look into ourselves, a lot of it just has to do with, the multi-generational mental poverty that's been passed down from generation to generation. And it's just really an understanding of the importance of cooperative economics. Because, a lot of times we kind of beat people up for not understanding these principles. But, I think that we kind of have to dig a little bit deeper to where we just like, we don't support each other. It's just figuring out why we have the mentalities we have. And, a lot of it leads back to, our stay in this society.
Preach, Boogie. Peace to that. Preach, Preach. I'm also a founding member and a charter member of MMOA and the Blacklist. To address specifically why blacks in America are not forming business at the same rate as what we would consider immigrants to the United States, I would have to say that it's primarily because of culture. You have a group of people who have been separated from their culture, competing with a group of people who generationally fight to maintain their culture. And I believe that from an economic perspective and a familiar perspective, the obligation of black people has been eroded until where we're so self-driven that we don't have the same system of respect for familial wealth and the foundation of economics within our families. I definitely believe that it's systematic. If we could do more, we would do more. If we knew better, we would do better. But the reality is we're competing against groups of people who have never been at the deficit that we're at.
Okay, so like with that being said, now let's say, for instance, what would be the first step? What is the first step that we can do? Like, let's say, what would be the first step? I know a lot of people say we can start up our own businesses, or should we just look within ourselves? Because I'd say this. Let me back up for a second. They say a lot of us. They say we should just patronize black businesses, but there's not any black businesses for us to patronize. So how can you tell somebody to stop shopping at a store or anything like that when there's no alternative?
Well, let me say this. I think that sometimes when we talk about shopping black, buying black, and doing all of those things, we lose sight of the fact that our community doesn't have lateral and vertical integration in these businesses. So the first thing we have to do is understand that if we must buy things outside of our community, is know what service providers actually benefit the community. So you still have power when you're spending your money. Secondly, is start to look for those essential services and goods that our community does provide, and only and exclusively spend money on our essentials with our community. So I think that's a logical building block. Start spending money with people that actually help your community, and if you can, just choose to do your essential services and your essential goods from a provider within the community. And that's a reasonable way to build wealth. When we talk about only buying black, when you look at a world where there's global economy, nobody is only dealing with themselves on a mass level.
Okay, so what about, okay, you know how they have like Angie's List. Is there a black directory where people can go to find out what businesses, like let's say if I need an auto shop, or if I need to go to, I hate to use the term, well, I don't want to use the term liquor store, that's a bad example, but let's say, like for a restaurant or something like that, where's the black directory that I can go to?
Hey man, shameless plug for blacklisthouston.org. We're working on currently building our database of various businesses, not only around Houston, but all around the country. So, if you know of any black businesses, or if you have one, definitely go to blacklisthouston.org and give us the information. But on top of that, sometimes you just got to open your eyes. Because, if you open your eyes, you'll see that some of your friends or things like that are sharing different events that's going around in Houston, such as like the buy black market at the Shrine that happens every month, to where we have local vendors, or should I say local entrepreneurs, coming together, putting their resources together in order to, give it back to the people.
And then you also have, I would say that if you do a lot of online shopping, We Buy Black was actually ranked the Amazon of this field of business. So pretty much anything you can find on Amazon, you can find on We Buy Black by a company that is black owned and run, that are also selling these competing goods. So that's another avenue.
Right. But Chris, man, you got to understand, man, we got to get a lot of that stuff out of our heads, because a lot of people that we talk to about our different initiatives still have the stereotypes of black people not doing good business, not able to be professional, and these things prevent people from even walking in the door to have the conversation or to see what the business is about. So, that's pretty deep rooted.
Now, let me ask you, okay, let me say this question. Now, one of the biggest, let's say, things that people may think about when they think about a black business is, and I think this is common, they may think of a weave shop, a wig shop, which is usually owned by Asians, I don't know, whatever. Or they may think about a barber shop, but my thing is I like to go out, me personally, I like to go out to eat. I want to find me a new restaurant or something like that. But, and I'll give you this example. I know one time when I was in New Orleans, right, there was this Jamaican-owned restaurant. And it was like maybe a couple of years later, I went back in there, and it was owned by, I don't know, I guess it was owned by some white folks or whatnot, and it was not Jamaican at all, anything. But my question is, why we don't support our black businesses? Or, because sometimes I hear from black business people, they say that the problem is, as soon as we open up a business because we black owned, I mean, it's like brothers and sisters expect us to get them a discount.
Well, that's not even it. Like when we talk about, you got to look at it from a micro level. You can't automatically take it to the business level, right? So if I live next door to you, and we in the same community, and we don't speak, we don't talk, we don't communicate, then why would I spend money with you? See, what people talk about is not spending money with black businesses. What they don't talk about is us not having community between each other. If we had community, if we had common social courtesy, we would spend money together. It doesn't have anything to do with the business. It has to do with the minute levels.
And Just Be here, joining in the conversation, to directly piggyback on what Preacher's talking about when he talks about being a community. There's a direct reflection of what we call in the black community effective education. So in the schooling systems, from the top down, if you notice across the country, a majority of your impoverished schooling systems are minority schooling systems. So from a very early educational age, you have minorities who are informed and instructed from a subclass standpoint. If you're unaware of this, when they go to other schools, they see the differences, and then they come back to their educational areas and they see all the lack of resources they have. So from that particular standpoint, it creates a class separation. That class separation is often reinforced by the misinformation in textbooks. So from a psychological standpoint, once they leave the educational classroom, it's merely a fight between classes in your own neighborhood. That's why I think a lot of the times our social status depends on our shoes, our shirt, all of these things. It's not so much as to say that I don't want to be black, but literally so much as to say that I'm better than the person that's next to me. And why would it not be? From the educational standpoint, that's literally how the system has taught us to respond to issues from a class standpoint, even amongst ourselves. So the division of community really comes from the lack of education from an elementary standpoint all the way through high school. The more we can sink our teeth into finding ways to have effective education and proper and true definitions of what history should be defined as, then we'll start to see more building blocks because we'll have a different dialogue that's happening among students in the classroom.
You know, I want to touch on that. I'm gonna take a break for a second, but I want to ask you all. I want to go into like a little bit of history since we're talking about class, you know, natural education, because there was this thing, you know, sometimes you may look at these different Facebook posts where they show back in the 1920s the Black Holocaust that happened over in places like Oklahoma, how they had a thriving Black Wall Street and different things like that. You know, I think what we don't understand about our history is that we haven't always been on welfare and things like that. Which this is just a shot at somebody else. Which the majority of people that are on welfare that didn't come assistance are not minorities.
Yeah,
they are, you know, they're mostly Caucasian that live in the Bible Belt.
Right.
So that's why whenever they try to really seriously go into cutting these programs, they're not going to be able to do that. And as an added addendum, this is me responding to somebody else. You know, my coal mining brothers over there in West Virginia that voted for President Trump, they do now realize that they are in danger of losing their actual Obamacare benefits or Affordable Care Act benefits because black lung disease is not covered. That's me. I'm sounding good. But I'm gonna take a quick break. But I want to get into that in a second. I want to get into the history of, you know, just look at our history from the past, how we actually prospered at one time, and how do we get back to that? I mean, we had our own thriving businesses before segregation. I'm not saying we should bring segregation back. I'm not like officially, but you know, this is me.
You gotta separate.
Yeah, I think unofficially we can we can segregate ourselves to better ourselves, because sometimes in order to prosper, you got to have unity amongst yourselves. But to the person that emailed me that about the West Virginia coal miners, yeah, that's really the case. Be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. And hey, how you doing, President Trump? He might be listening, y'all.
Tweet.
Yeah, he gonna tweet. And I hope he don't tweet my name, because I ain't filed my taxes yet.
He ain't showed you his.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to. Man, so okay. Alright, let me set this room up a little bit better.
Got boss, son.
Let me get this up out of here.
Let me start.
Let me get this out. No.
Oh yeah, I got T Dot in the building.
Talking about action.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me, brother.
Yeah, no. Everybody here. Boy, raise the level of melanin in the building.
Already.
Yeah, man, you compensate for all of it. Man, you couldn't find a spot?
I'm really pissed off about this. I drove away. I don't know where they had to go. I mean, she ain't tell us like this good or that good. She's like Rice University. So I'm getting there like it's like no grocery store. It's like a big campus. So me parking and walking around there. I don't know where I can't park. It's super dark on the campus. You know what I'm saying?
And you know that's where they had the folks running over flashing them.
What they do? What now?
They keep having like a reoccurring flasher. Like,
yeah. Oh man. Alright.
You got it right there.
That's it right there.
Here you go right here.
Oh, good. Preach boogie.
Man.
I don't talk a lot of Mike tonight. What's up, man?
What it do, man?
Peace and blessings.
Yeah, man, we got you. We got your back, man. I know you've been trying to hide, man.
Nah, I ain't been hiding.
Trying to hide, man. You know what I'm saying?
Holla at me. I'm on
Yeah,
Instagram.
man.
Serious black man.
Oh yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I need that hat though, Just B.
Hey,
I need that hat, man.
You know.
But
That boy killing them with
Right.
the back of van.
right, that's what I was gonna say, man. I was thinking about that when he was talking about us stunting on each other, man. I'm like, man, that's this boy came in here stunting with that hat, man. Hey, man, right.
Let me get this out. No.
yeah, I got T Dot in the building.
Talking about action.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me, brother. Let me grab you.
Yeah, no. Everybody here. Well, raise the level of melanin in the building.
Already.
Yeah, man, you compensate for all of it. Man, you couldn't find a spot?
I'm really pissed off about this. So I drove away. I don't know where to go. I mean, she ain't tell us like this good or that good. She's like Rice University. So I'm getting there like, it's like no grocery store. It's like a big campus. So me parking and walking around there, I don't know where I can't park. It's super dark on the campus, you know what I'm saying?
And you know, that's where they had the folks running over folks flashing them.
Wow.
But they do what now?
Just, they keep having, they like a reoccurring flasher. Like, yeah.
Oh, man.
Walk down there.
All right.
You got it right there.
That's it right there.
Here you go right here.
Okay. Preach boogie.
Man.
I don't talk a lot of Mike tonight. What's up, man?
What it do, man?
Peace and blessings.
Yeah, man, we got you. We got your back, man. I know you've been trying to hide, man.
Nah, I ain't been hiding.
Trying to hide, man. You know what I'm saying?
Holla at me. I'm on
Yeah,
Instagram.
man.
Serious black man.
Oh yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I need that hat though, Just B.
Hey,
I need that hat, man.
You know.
But
That boy killing them with
Right.
the back of van.
right, that's what I was gonna say, man. I was thinking about that when he was talking about us stunting on each other, man. I'm like, man, that's this boy came in here stunting with that hat, man. Hey, man.
Details, but it seems like whenever we start to pull ourselves up, the powers that be always try to pull us down. So looking at our history, how when we relied upon each other, because I believe the key to prosperity is to not officially segregate. I don't want signs saying colored here, colored there, but to patronize black businesses. Because if you patronize a black business, and also as an addendum, the black business owners or any minority business owner must live within the community. Because see, I see the reason why, even though we have businesses in our community, I don't think the business owners or shop owners really live within the community.
Yep, I think that starts again with what Chris was talking about previously, was when he talked about education, right? Because if you educate correctly, people will grow up looking for jobs to provide need to the community instead of just saying, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a weatherman. No, if you grow up with the correct education, you'll know what your community needs. So that's foundational.
I think, and not to cut you off, but that's a valid point that I believe that people in our generation need to understand and evolve in our understanding of what's being an entrepreneur and the connection, the responsibility that an entrepreneur has to the community. Because I think what we're dealing with now is we have a lot of people that have great ideas for businesses, but it's an oversaturation of the same businesses. There's not too many people thinking outside of the box and trying to think about all the different things that we consume, that we need, beyond hair, beyond food, beyond clothing, that we use every day in our life. And so I think that that's a task for our generation that we need to kind of bring to the table to actually see what the community needs, not just what you want to do or this thing I always want to do my whole life. What does my community need? Because if you fill any void, you're going to be successful, but you just got to change on, what you're looking to do.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, because one thing every community needs is a gas station. How many young black entrepreneurs think about, okay, instead of me trying to open up this business that's, gonna hit a home run, or I don't really like using stereotypes or anything, but like open up a venue like a club or something. Because one thing about the club business is it's a high failure rate. You have athletes, professional athletes, they sink hundreds of thousands of dollars in clubs, and these places, like Chris Rock say, grand opening, grand closing. But different things our community need, like you say, for instance, our community, we need non-glamorous businesses like a dry cleaner. We need a gas station.
Or we need to learn the value of economics and what money is for. It's a tool, right? So the means to the tool is not as important as the amount of income. So it's cool that you go to school and you get out with $250,000 in debt, and you're a doctor, and maybe in 10 years you'll start making some money in reality. But the reality would be that if you were a master electrician with a high school diploma, you would be getting money hand over fist. So people need to start understanding what we bought into is the culture of Western higher education being the defining characteristic between somebody who is able to exceed and somebody who's not, and that's totally fictitious. And so that's what we really have to break down. It's a philosophy change in the mind of the community.
You know, that's interesting you bring that up because, Tom, jump in. I'll jump in anytime. I'm cutting everybody off. I'm cutting you off like this is my show. But the thing about it is, because when you look at, if you look at a lot of businesses, a lot of black-owned businesses that were really prosperous, you'll find that most of them were electricians. They were carpenters. It was some type of service industry business, whether it was an auto shop or something that people,
Well, and just to, not to talk too much, but just to give some historical background about that. If you look at what was considered essential services, that was the black man and black family's birthright. We did the farming. We were the electricians, we were the plumbers, we were all of that.
Mechanics.
Well, what happened is, if you look at this historically, when factories started being made in the inner city, it took us away from our birthright. Right. We left our land and we moved into the city to work at these factories to get these good jobs. Well, what ended up happening at that point is where you see the great shift in industry and manufacturing, where Caucasians took those jobs and created industry now dominate. So now we can't go back to our birthright. The people who literally grew the crops that created the economy of the United States have no attachment to agriculture anymore, have no attachment to plumbing anymore, have no attachment to essential services. Who else was doing that before us? We were the people doing that. So the educational system and factories moving us away from our birthright and our land, us not having the intelligence to not sell those properties, is what put us in the situation we are right now, where we're trying to catch up by using the devices they gave us instead of using our skill sets.
And really that directly connects into the idea of what Atum had mentioned earlier, so much as generational poverty. Generational poverty is not just so much as a financial thing. If you'll notice from generations from other cultures, generational education for our skill sets and trade areas, that's generational wealth, because even if you start in the 1600s as a peasant, if by 1800 you have carved a niche for yourself in society as a craft maker in that industry, guess what? 200 years of apprenticeship is going to start to resonate in an economic way.
And that's your familial legacy.
And that's how you have so many people that are attached to names and industries. If you go amongst certain industries, you always hear a brewer or a Morton or a Ford. These names are attached to industries because these are generational skill sets. And so the one thing that we lost, as we lost that land, as we lost our system of operation, is that we lost that generational skill set. We don't have black people making shoes or clothes or designers, or just your, as you say, your median jobs, your service jobs that we were great at providing, hand skill sets. All of these types of things became foreign as technology transitioned, and also too as we were kind of removed out of certain areas. So I think a lot of the times when people hear generational wealth, they automatically think financial, but a lot of the things that black people have been dissuaded and lost over time is generational skill sets that typically turn into wealth.
Message.
You might go ahead, Thomas.
Peace, man.
Yeah,
Brother T.
yeah, man. What's your name, brother?
Brother T. Ben. So, I think also amongst everything everybody's talked about, we have a lot of different factors that kind of hinder us psychologically, also, in economics and physically from trying to get to where we need to be. And we lost that sense of culture and community of people. And a lot of it is we're dealing with like gentrification, being moved away from your actual neighborhood and your people. You're dealing with, propaganda with the media. You're dealing with discrimination in the workplace. And then it comes to a point to where we don't see each other and trust each other enough to want to do business with each other. So you don't have that mentality where, when you see somebody that looks like you, to trust them to take care of things. So when you go to other communities, you'll see like the Asians, the Hispanics, you'll see the Middle Eastern people over here as well. You'll see them having business with each other, and they don't have to come out and tell you like this is a Mexican-owned shop or this is an Asian-owned place. It's something innate in them that shows they're doing what they need to do. And us as a community, we tend to do things now in this days out of spite of others. And what that does is I think it's a snowball effect to where we don't want to think logically. We're too emotionally invested in like we need to do this because we're black instead of just doing it because as a people we need to prosper. And so when we have like proper education amongst our own, teaching things that we need to, excel in our lives and what's conducive to our specific identity, when we put economics behind that, that is when you start, breeding a generation of children that see each other differently than what we see each other now. So we talk about, you spoke earlier about segregation, and I think, to me, in the year 2017, our focus should be independence and then aggregation to start that off. We aggregate each other around, amongst each other, so we have a community within a larger community. And then the ultimate goal should be independence, what we call liberation, to where we can determine who we are as a people. We can determine, like Kujichaki, like Brother Toon,
Yes, sir.
subscribes to as well, to me with economics. And it's in your pocket. It's like the motivating factor behind where you get up every day. If you go to any of the community, whether they're teachers, even doctors, lawyers, very few of them will love their job so much where they'll do it for free. But amongst our own people, we do a lot of things in our community voluntarily. And we can change that from being volunteer work to actual employment if you put funds behind it. And so now when you have like a pool of funds, then people now see like we need plumbers. We need, different electricians and have money behind it versus going elsewhere to find those different jobs and employment and dealing with people who, are not going to treat them right. So it's a lot of factors that lead into why, economics is so important beyond having money in your pocket because, like Pre said, a minute ago, it's not necessarily the money in your pocket. It's a tool it's a tool for you to get to the next step. It's a process. This independence and aggregation is a process and building. It's not going to happen overnight, so that, to me, that's what's most important is dealing with our economics and understanding, circulating our own dollars and what it creates in your mind, what it does for you. One small example before I stop hogging the mic, but one small example is like, when you get in your car every single day, the first thing that you do is you tend to put your seatbelt on. And the seatbelt you put on is not necessarily, it's because of safety, but also because you get a ticket. The reason you'll get a ticket is because a police officer will give you a ticket. The reason a cop is going to give you a ticket is that's his job. He gets up every day to make sure that you are abiding by the law. Now, would he do that for free? Probably not. But the fact that he gets paid, there's some money in his pocket from, where the funds come from, it creates that particular emotion that you're on. So that's how money and a tool creates.
All right, and what I want to do is I'm gonna take a quick break, but you're getting into something I want to ask you about. I want to redefine. I want to talk about a thing that called a black tax, and what I mean by that is not the tax that you got to pay when you're a corporation because you're black, but as far as doing some type of, man, I hate to use terms like, listen, and I'm telling somebody, when you understand money, you understand finances, don't just look at capitalism as the end-all, be-all to any economic system. Because if you understand real money and how systems work, you will look at the works of Karl Marx. Man, I'm going to get yanked off this radio. But I'm not talking about communism, but even in our system of government, we do have socialism. Mm-hmm. So what I want to ask you all about, if we come from Blake, is Blake, Lord, I'm not proper D, but I want to talk about how can we as a black community have our own, let's say,